Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Racers Driving League for Season 19, round number 17 of the Championship. Welcome to the Marina Bay Street Circuit. Right here for the Singapore Grand Prix and what promises to be an absolutely fascinating encounter. As we get ourselves on screen, there we are, all set for what should be a remarkable and very enjoyable evening of racing. I'm your host, Zach RC, and it should be a great one. Of course, number of cars on the... just wait out to head out now. We're getting our first few cars out of the pit lane now. A number of stories to follow going into this one. Obviously missed last week's stream in Azerbaijan. 100% race. Grumio did take victory and now sits 127 points clear of Dan and the championship. So a lot of work to be done there over the course of the race weekend here. And there is Daniel Aron, first car out of the circuit, sporting Haas's 200th Grand Prix special livery there. And this should be a very entertaining one for him as he gets himself out onto the circuit for the first time. So still gunning for that third win of the season is Dan for Haas. Of course, Haas have 3 wins this campaign, 2 for Dan and 1 for Che. Of course, Dan's led the team over the course of the season. Pope out on track as well in the Mercedes. Pope sitting in P5 in the standings. Currently hunting down Che. Landlord in recent weeks now in 3rd place. So Landlord has managed to win the ongoing chase for that position in the standings that has been going for quite a while. As DJ CJ, of course, made his debut a couple weeks ago in Monza. In that permanent Alpine place in place for Cot. And we do have one other a fresh or somewhat fresh arrival to the grid this evening as well. And that is the return in a reserve role for now for Mr. TJ. Of course, former RDL driver brought back in as a reserve. Whether we'll see him be added to a permanent seat by the end of the season, have to wait and see on that front. But definitely good to see him back. He's reserving in the Red Bull tonight in place of Imri. And Imri, who now finds himself under a fair bit of pressure in the Drivers' Championship. Of course, AT podium finish last week. So I'll give you sort of little updates on last week's 51-lap event around Baku. So AT scored a podium last week. And as a result, now sits just 3 points behind Imri in the race for that 6th position in the standings. So AT looking potentially to try and nab P6. It's another 21 points to Pope in P5, 146 to his name. I have to come through and do a lap with somebody here. And I can see the reigning champion, reigning winner of this race, Grumio, on the circuit. So as he makes his way through turns 16 and 17, of course, getting closer and closer to the point where he could try and wrap up that 10th RDL Championship. Let's round board with him now for this first lap of the evening here at Singapore. So down towards turn 1, 19 corners on the Marina Bay Street Circuit, obviously lessened in recent years thanks to the layout change, but turns 1, 2 and 3 remaining the same, and Grumio is already invalidated, so a tough start to things for Grumio. We'll focus in on Landlord in behind him, who's had a fresh start to these first few, a clean run for the first few corners, down towards turn 5 now, that right-hander, first right on the circuit. DRS in play, can he try and get a toe off Grumio perhaps here on the run towards turn 7, of course. This being a race that Landlord retired from last season as Dan goes fast. It's 129.3 on the board. Of course, Dan I think will be one of the cars to beat. But Landlord through turns 6, 7 and 8, of course, that sort of section of the track where he crashed last season. Pope now fastest, 129.0 on the board for the former champion. DJ rejoins us here as Landlord runs towards turn number 10, of course, formerly where the Singapore Sling used to be. Bit of a slide there going through 11, through 12, 13 now. The very tight left-hander, slowest corner on the circuit, give or take. DRS in play, though, on corner exit and the run down towards turn 14. The second split coming in now. Landlord 1 minute 3.792 on the board. 4 cars set time so far. Pope, Dan, Ericsson, and EJ. Careful to invalidate there on exit of turn 14. There's a certain sort of rough patch on corner exit, which could catch driver unawares. But he heads towards the final chicane now through turns 16 and 17 again. Bit deep into 16, but kept it within the white lines. Didn't lose too much time there. And towards 18 and 19 now to complete his first lap. Landlord will come through, likely fastest, 128.563 now. That was a lap and a half from Landlord, and it puts him top of the timing screens for now. Of course, 17 drivers in the session as of right now. Whether we'll get anyone later on, I doubt it, but as it stands, are losing just 2 drivers at the end of this first session. I mean, I've got both Bens in. Ben W reserving in tonight in place of Websy. Webbs himself P10 in the championship, 30 points to his name from the first 16 rounds. Of course, just 8 more rounds to come, 7 after this one, 2 of them being 100% races. So one of them 100% around Brazil, and then the other one, the finale Silverstone reverse as well. So it should be a fascinating encounter on both fronts. You see HP Cook there goes 4th fastest for Sauber, 1:29.370. I must say, things look absolutely. The night sky here in Singapore looks absolutely spectacular. The first race of RDL run with the path tracing adjustment on. And obviously, I might be a little bit biased, but I feel it looks fantastic. You see EJ going through turn 3 here. Second lap for the Ferrari drive, 1:30.1. So not a fantastic first lap there. Could be cause for elimination coming into the session should he not improve on that. But I should imagine we'll see EJ improve on that lap time. Ericsson there, P5 in front of him by about half a second. As Grumio there now gets a time in it. That's a big jump. 1:27.6 for Grumio. 8, almost 9 tenths in front of his former teammate Landord. And that's going to be an ominous warning sign to the rest of the field. And it's a sight that a large chunk of the field doesn't like to see. But Grumio has been unstoppable this season. There's been really no stopping him. 12 wins from the first 16. Of course, 6 wins from the first 7. And looking as notorious, as ominous as ever. We'll look around here, see who else is on laps. Ben is on a lap here for Alpine. He heads down towards turn number 7. 27.7 his first sector. So solid start. Quite fast into 8 there. Look at the car under control. Good control from the Alpine driver. In that reserve spot tonight, as I say. AT also on the racetrack there, just coming through complete the first sector himself. Landord in the pit lane, the other McLaren. And it's Pope and Dan, HP Cook, your top 5. Ben's in control of himself here. Second split, 1:05.639. And be careful going outside that white line on corner exit out of turn 14, which sort of moves with what is normally the road. And towards the line for Ben then, 1:30.903, slowest time so far. ATM behind, 1:04.445, so faster than Ben's time. But where will that put him now? Imagine that put him around the Saubers as it stands right now. Whether that can change in the next few laps, have to wait and see here. As he comes through the last few corners here. So I'm ready to turn in. 4th place, 1:29.1, so a lot closer to the cars in front of him than anticipated. And actually in front of Dan as well. Dan will likely want to get under the center of the lap time. And there is TJ out on the circuit for the first time in a fair few seasons in the RDL, sporting the Roscoe helmet. Of course, the unfortunate lose that Lewis Hamilton's beloved dog Roscoe passed yesterday evening. So a sad day for Formula 1 on that front. Roscoe obviously loved very dearly amongst the paddock and amongst, of course, the F1 community as a whole. And it's open that TJ can have a good race today with that helmet on in Roscoe's honour. We'll keep an eye out. We'll see what sort of pace TJ has on show for us this evening. Ben Lim also on the circuit as well. PJ Callahan into P9. Not a fantastic lap, truthfully. 1:30.688. And JB 4 tenths up on PJ. Obviously, TJ adds to the ever-increasing number of drivers with 2 initials, one of which being a J in their name. Lando retires here, more or less set for Q2, regardless of how things go here. Dan retiring as well. Of course, only losing 2 drivers coming in this session. And it's only 8 minutes to go. But we still have 6 cars yet set laps. 4 of them are out on track right now. Make that 5 as DJ emerges onto the circuit. No sign of 10th Cannon for the minute. As we see AT come back in. Ben Lim through turn 5. And DRS about to come into play for him once again. End of the first sector, 26.8. Haven't seen a ton of first sector times in terms of just sort of glancing at this, so I have to keep an eye out and see what sort of time the front runners are setting. TG on the medium tyre for his first lap, so we may not see a ton of pace out of him by comparison to what we are used to as he comes through the last couple of corners. Into the pit lane though, he comes in. I think just doing a sort of warm-up run on the mediums, and likely will go again. Curtis in the Ferrari there. Of course, Ferrari now only 2 points clear of RB at the bottom of the standings. Ben and Alvar coming alive in recent weeks. Lost points in the last 2 races, so really looking like contenders all of a sudden. So keep an eye out for Ben Lim at least. No sign of Alvar, just the one RB on the grid tonight. As Ben goes 1:29.8, that's 9th fastest. Takes him away from that drop zone a little bit. But slowest time in the 29s, the cars below him are all 30s. Curtis coming through and won at 5.036, looks like a solid second sector. Could be set to try and join his teammate EJ in and around the top 10, but EJ himself on a lap just behind too, so keep an eye out for both these guys as they come through the final sector. TJ in the pit lane here, but soft tyres are going onto that car and he's away. DJ on a set of medium tyres, invalidating this effort, so tough start for things here. Curtis went P11, EJ stays in P10, but does improve, 1:29.9 and 1:30.1 for Curtis. So both Ferraris looking solid here on a weekend where they may need to get a few more points on the board. 24 points for Curtis this season, 11 for EJ. Takes him up to 35. And in that, just 16 points back from Aston Martin, which sounds like a lot, 51 to 35. But it's one solid week for either team could really shake things up. And now it's 48 points covering the bottom 5 in the standings, and just 24 between Williams and Haas in the constructors. And that's the fight to keep an eye on. The Drivers' Championship, nothing short is nothing short of over. As Grumio obviously continues on his march towards that 10th championship. No one has really challenged him this season, in truth. We are at a point now where Grumio could drop 2 points tonight to Dan and still have been in position to try and clinch the championship next week. Just goes to show you how good Grumio has been over the course of this season. No, sorry, I'm getting myself mixed up. No, I'm getting my maths mixed up. No, we're still a little while away from Grumio wrapping up the championship. He'd need to have a 175 point advantage to confirm it tonight. And as of right now, he's got 127. So, not as of yet. But I was saying that there'll be 6 races to go after next week. And from there, if you can take a 150 point advantage, then it's still on. So give it 2 or 3 weeks' time. We could be crowning Grumio champion, but still plenty of racing between now and then, and you never know what could happen. But as it stands right now, it is looking like Grumio's title. But the constructors' fight is the one to keep an eye out for. McLaren, they're in 3rd place. I think likely set in stone now. I think they need a victory or 2 under their belts to really stand a shot to even have a chance taking on Williams and Haas later on this season. Of course, they've been the most consistent team without victory, I think has to be said. Only 3 teams have won races where we've had 4 race winners. Grumio, Che, Dan, and Pope. Of course, almost had 5 with Landlord in Belgium about a month ago. We are now nearing the end of Q1 here, and we've still got 3 cars who haven't set better lap times just yet, and desperation, or rather concern, will start to creep in, I think, for those guys. 10th Cannon, she's on the circuit now, as is DJ, who's coming through to set a lap. He's in Sector 2 now. Ben W, also on an out lap, so I'm saying Ben has set a time. And we just had TJ come through, 1 minute 30.206. Of course, the time doesn't need to be generational to get you into Q2 at this stage, given they're only losing 2 drivers, but it's DJ in 10th right now. Those are the guys to keep an eye out for. JB retires it from P13. Ericsson also retiring. Sauber coming alive in recent weeks. That is fantastic to see. Whether they can try and challenge Alpine for P6 for a remarkable comeback. Just 10 points separating those 2 teams in the championship. And from there, it's obviously a big gap to Mercedes in 5th place. Courtney Goblin, the only driver, or Courtney Goblin and DJ, the only drivers yet to score this season in terms of full time. Obviously, DJ only been there for a few weeks. And the last corner for DJ now towards the line. Goes to P13 on the medium tyre. And that puts Ben W back inside the drop zone again. End of the first sector, he's 6/10ths up, which would be enough to put PJ in the bottom 2. PJ himself also on a lap, and 10th Cannon may also have a say in all this. She's coming through Sector 2 now. Can't see her first sector time. Let's keep an eye out for what she's done in the second. PJ 6.3 seconds down, but has backed off, and I think he's going for it again. Cannon through the last sector now. PJ pitting, so PJ, we're banking on neither one of these 2 cars setting faster lap times. But Ben was up at the end of Sector 2. 10th towards the line, and 10th into P15, and that will knock PJ out. Confirmed there. If Ben improves, that will knock 10th out. Ben doesn't improve. He does improve, but doesn't get a spot. Lost for almost 4/10ths over the course, that the final 2 sectors, and that will likely put Ben out with PJ 10th. Looks like she may narrowly squeeze in. Ben's not got enough time to push for another lap. That's the checker flag then. So PJ and Ben out. DJ and 10th carry on. About 800ths in it overall between 10th and PJ. As 10th grazes the wall, hits the wall, going out of turn 9. But that's just too concerned. Obviously safe in Q2. But Grumio, though, you look at that. He was 8/10ths, almost 9/10ths up on closest challenger Landlord, and that could be a big red warning sign for the rest of the field, saying, "Do not cross Grumio because he is on a mission tonight." But apart from that, a very close session. The 129s there, taken down from P3 to P10. But Grumio and Landlord has been in recent seasons of this circuit, the class of the field. Ben out qualifying then, 10th over the line. Safe in Q2. And Ben without a wing left. I have to wait for him to come round to complete his lap before it is confirmed that the end of the session is over. But a tough start for Alpine. And tough start for Aston Martin too, while Ethan got himself into the 8th place. Things look tough for Aston Martin at the minute, one of their cars. P16 for the start. On a day where they would much rather try and gain some time, or some points on Sauber rather, who are obviously pushing in front of them. But Ben is out. We'll start dead last for this one. And we'll have a look now at your more in-depth Q1 results. Grumio fastest by almost 9/10ths to Landlord. Pope in 3rd place. AT 4th, Dan in 5th. Two Salvers, HB Cook and Ericsson 6th and 7th, Ethan 8th, Ben 9th, and EJ rounds at your top 10, 2.29 seconds off of the top time. Curtis P11, and it's TJ, DJ, JB in 10th. PJ and Ben W unfortunately out. And that'll do us then for Q1. But Q2 will be underway shortly. So Q2 about to get underway then. Down to drop those 2 cars and down to 15 now. And it should be an exciting session. We just fight to see who moves on to Q3. Given how close the sort of mid-pack was over the course of that first session, I'm excited to see exactly what transpires this time around and who makes it. But down, of course, the lone Haas car in this race. Of course, missing a Haas, an RB, and a Mercedes in tonight's race. Red Bull and Alpine managed to find reserves. But Dan then leads the pack out. Ben Lim there in behind him. A number of cars sort of fighting for their own patch of racetrack and a bit of clean air here. I think none more so than these three. Of course, DJ chucked in the middle of Grumio and one of the Ferraris. I'm guessing that's DJ. I'm told it's Curtis, but Curtis backed off to give himself a bit more room. Because that clean air crucial in qualifying. Dan his first car through, and we'll keep an eye on him here, see how his lap looks. Run board them first sector, heads down towards that first corner. Through turn 5, really pushing that car on the limit. End of the first sector, Dan comes through 26.4 on the board. We'll see what about Grumio sets this time around. Obviously, Q2 driver starts to push it a bit more. Q3, Q1 would always see full pace. 26.4 for Grumio. 26.4 for Dan. So even in the first sector, in between two of the front runners. And that should make things a lot more exciting. A lock up for Dan as he heads to turn 13. Good exit though. And DRS in play for him now. 1:40 for Dan. Grumio. Grumio again is invalidated. Had that lap time deleted then, so that could be a rough start. But of course, we saw the same thing in Q1 on Grumio's first attempt. He then came through and stunned the rest of the field. But it's Dan that rounds the last corners here, through 18 and 19, to complete that first lap. 1:28.7. So faster than his Q1 time by a fair bit. Landlord also having his lap time deleted here. Pope in second, Ben Lim third. Big gaps between these guys. Ethan into fourth. DJ towards the line. 1:29.3 for DJ. So you see these guys starting to get a bit stronger here as they push further on into qualifying. EJ into fourth place, 1:30.102. 80 of a slide there as he goes through turn 11. HB Cook P4 now, 129.5 on the board. Curtis into P8 there, 153.4. And Ericsson third, 129.340. So those Saubers really on it. AT last corner, what's he got in the bag? Well, over the curb of the last corner, uses deploy, goes fourth fastest, 129.363. It's close to DJ. So Dan Pitson, after a very successful first run, retires it. Likely safe in Q3 with that 128. Grumio having his lap deleted a second time there. TJ 1 minute 4.9. Only TJ, Landlord, JB, 10th, and Grumio. Yet set laps. 10th in the pit lane here. JB on an out lap. Landlord going for it. 1 minute 4.112 for Landlord as well. So around the same sort of pace as TJ. And as TJ comes through the line on the soft tyre, P7, 1 minute 30.039. Landlord, of course, was faster than most in Q1. We'll see what he's got this time round. Of course, important for these faster guys not blow through tyres, especially for Q3 on the horizon. 128.946 for Landlord. Second fastest. Dan still on top. But whether Grumio's going to try and change that remains to be seen. Tenth and JB both on that lap. So JB coming through to start his next run. JB still 13th place in the Drivers' Championship as of right now. 18 points to his name, just 2 off of Ben Lim in 12th. And another 4 to Curtis. See, a big score for any driver really could give him a good shout. Courtney Goblin joins the session. So we'll have 18 cars now for the race. Hopefully he gets put in the right car. JB super wide there at turn 7. Ended his first sector. So I doubt that will help. Of course, those crucial points still keeping Williams in the Constructors' fight. But hopefully that fight will be a very entertaining one between the VF25 and the FW47 all the way to Silverstone as the final race. Curtis there, P12, slowest time so far, 1:31.3. Improved on that initial effort, but still struggling. His teammate EJ, currently in the top 10, he's in 9th place right now. Both Williams cars on circuit as JB rounds the last few corners here. Towards the line, 1:29.8. JB into 8th place there. Good lap. And from the man who obviously did so well here in the race last season. Of course, was up there in that contingent fighting for the win with AT and Grumio. Whether he can pull off that same Singapore magic, I have to wait and see. But could potentially be on course for a Q3 appearance with a time like that. 10th Canada, the second sector, of course, narrowly squeezed into this part of the session. This part of qualifying. We'll see whether she can pull it off again. Of course, the only Red Bull that can score points in today's race. And Red Bull potentially with 3 points separating him from Mercedes, could fall to 5th coming into the evening. Of course, that second seat, much like real life, has had several, just the 2 suits over the course of the season. Oh, okay, was very close to hitting the wall there. I believe he held on to it, but in the last corner now towards the line, 131.2. Only enough for 13th place. We're losing 5 cars this time, so things look a bit tighter, a bit tougher. And this session may well be decided by only a few tenths or so, as Ethan goes P7. That'll put Mr. TJ in as the last car going through as it stands right now. That'll knock EJ out. You need a 129 minimum to have a chance at Q3 now. As Ben defies that, 1 minute 30.027. 12 thousandths between him and TJ. Here, 1 minute 4.2. We'll see if he can gain anything in this last sector. Has had 2 lap times deleted. But I believe one of them was an in-lap, so second sort of push lap of this session. And another 5 minutes to go. And it's looking like a good time. But not the fastest time this time. 1 minute 29.087, so put down on top. But we saw what Grumio is capable of. We saw that 27 earlier on in the session in Q1, so we'll keep an eye on Grumio. And it should all be very tense right the way to check a flag here in Q2. One of the Ferraris heading out. That is it. It's Curtis back on the racetrack again. EJ P13 now. 129.822. The last time going through as it stands. Ben looking to try and change that here. TJ behind him, but TJ in the pit lane. I imagine we may get one last shot. EJ's on the circuit. Will he improve enough? Ben pitting. EJ towards the line now. It's enough for P9 for him, 129.5. So the time's dropping quickly here. And just 14,000 separate 9th from 10th. JB back on the circuit. Needs a few tenths out of this one. His teammate in a different part of the circuit. And not in a position where he can try and give a tow. DJ retires from the session in P7. Which I think could be safe. As it stands right now, we're losing JB, Ben, TJ, 10th, and Curtis. Both Red Bulls going out. 1 RB, 1 Williams, and 1 Ferrari. Both Salvas Dan still in the top 10. Highlight, I think, so far. One of just 2 teams to get both their cars in Q3 right now. That other team being McLaren with Landor P2 and AT P6. Grumio comes in. End of his run. Whether we see him retire from this session for the minute, I'm not too sure. But now all 5 of those bottom rung drivers on what could be their final runs, will likely be their final runs. Curtis starting it there from P15. Pope retiring. He's in P4. I think definitely going through from here. Just look how close things are. In that top 10. Less than a second covering them. It's just over a second from Dan's JB. 1.2 covers the top 13. That is close. Grumio retires. Again, likely safe in Q3, barring any late disaster. JB out of turn 5 and towards 6 and 7. Needs about 3 tenths or so. Just over 3 tenths to get himself into next first session. He's backed off it. And that could... I'm wondering how close it will be. JB can't afford any sort of mistakes here. So we need to get back round in time. I should think that he will. Yellow flag as TJ lets Curtis go. Curtis improving by 2 seconds here. This could be a good lap. If he can hold it towards the line. Curtis is trying to shake things up. P2 on the board for Curtis. Where did that come from? Spectacular. That puts his teammate on the cut line there. 14 thousandths separate the first car out to the last car in. And HP Cook is improving by a 10th right now. So doing what he needs to. JB's got 20 seconds to make it round in time. It's going to be close, but I think he should do it. Yep. He's going to get one shot at this to get himself into the last part of qualifying. Here goes JB. Cross the line with seconds to spare. Checker flag is up. HP Cook improving by 4 tenths now. That should knock EJ out. And that will put Ethan under distinct pressure. As HP Cook may well get himself up towards the top 5. Goes P2 himself. 128.806. Fantastic lap from HP Cook. That moves Ethan to the cut line. EJ is the first car out. It's now confirmed he's in the pit lane and out. JB not improving. Down by a quarter of a tenth thus far. Bent up by a quarter of a second. That's enough. And there goes 10th Cannon. P10. 129.389. And JB needs a lot more. Ben needs a lot more himself. And so does TJ. Ben towards the line goes. Well, stays P14. He is out of qualifying. JB's going to need a big lap here. TJ half a second up. Out of sector 2. Goes P7. That'll knock 10th out. JB just under a 10th down right now. And I think his chances are shot. Unless there are gains to be made in this last sector. He's backing off it. Oh, as Siri pops up on my watch. JB into the pit lane then. That'll cap things off. AT across the line. P9, he'll go through. DJ just squeezes in by 1,000th of a second there. Look at how dreadfully close that was. Gutting for 10th Cannon. While the game puts it as 2,000 to build, we can all see maths. That's very clearly won. 10th Cannon eliminated by her reserve teammate, TJ. Gutting feeling. But P11, still a solid start. And still an outside chance at some good points. But as for your top 10 going through, it's damn fast in Q2. From HP Cook by 16 1,000th of a second. Curtis in 3rd place by a 10th and a quarter. Landau 4th. Grumio goes to 5th in the end. Pope, TJ, Ericsson, AT, and DJ will all vie for pole position. A perfect blend of old faces and new faces in what should be a thrilling scrap pole position. But we lose 10th and Ethan. EJ, JB, and Ben all go out. But Q3, though, we're contested by these 10 drivers, and we'll see who will take the 17th pole of the season. So the final part of qualifying about to get underway here. 12 minutes to decide who will take pole number 17 of season 19 in the RDL here in Singapore. Grumio, truthfully, after Q1, I thought he was the favourite. I'm not too sure now. My money's still on him, given the fact he set a 127 in Q1. That lap he set in Q2, a good 1.5 seconds slower at most than his Q1 effort. So we know what he's capable of. But as we get the first batch of cars onto the circuit here, being led out by the championship chaser Dan. Pulls 127 points out. And if he wants any chance left at softening the blow in this championship, he'll need to get himself that 3rd win of the season. Because yet to beat Grumio actually on track this season. Of course, both the races he won were races in which Grumio was absent. Of course, missing his teammate too. Che not in the race. Because we did see Courtney Goblin join us midway through Q2. So we will have 18 cars for the race ahead. He'll start last alongside Ben W on the back row. Look at DJ making another Q3 there. Fantastic performance from the new Alpine driver. Had a tough race in Monza. I've only seen one race from DJ myself. And that was that Italian Grand Prix. He'll be hoping for more in this race. And there is Ericsson. Resurgence for Ericsson in recent weeks. 9 points in the last 2 races. And we'll see whether we can try to add to that with a top 10 starting spot. Everyone on circuit, no one in the pit lane, no one waiting for it. Everyone's got clean air. And these first laps through Megos. Dan comes through first. Pope is in behind him. He's been quietly in and around that top 5 all evening so far. Ericsson in behind. HB Cook there going through one of the last few cars onto the circuit. I think Grumio was the last. Yes, he was. Dan through turn 6 are in towards 7. Yellow flag as Pope's backing off. Pope has his lap deleted. Rough start for him. Dan 26.4 his first sector. And it looks like, for a second I thought Ericsson the same fate. Ericsson's backed off a bit. I think perhaps not happy with his first sector at all. And likely will wait to go again. Dan towards the end of the second sector. 1 minute 3.6. That's a good lap from Dan. But it's a good lap so far, as he avoids that lap getting deleted. Through 15 and towards this final chicane now. But Dan showing his stuff here as he comes through the last few corners to complete that first lap. It's going to be a good one here. 1:28.095, and that'll be a tough time to beat. Next car to the line, it will be the Alpine of DJ. Landlord's in behind him. DJ towards the line. 1:28.6. Landlord coming through. 1:27.8. And the times are going to start dropping like flies because we are in for Q3 and it's set to be very close indeed. Curtis 1:29.1 on the board for him. Where is Grumio? Grumio 26.1 in his first sector. So that's a few tenths up on what Dan set. So looks like a solid start. 1 minute 2.9. Grumio looks to have regained his mojo. HB Cook rounding the last chicane. Pope on a second lap has it deleted too. Just waiting on these two then, the Sauber and the Williams. HB Cook P5. Grumio looking like provisional pole here. 1:27.3 and a half second up on his former teammate. Well, there we go. 2.3 covering the top 8 here. Pope will need to get a second lap in, as will Ericsson. So halfway through the session then. And it's an 8 car set lap times. 2 of them in the 27s. 4 in the 28s, 2 in the 29s. Pope comes in, end of that first run. AT gets put back in, Lando gets put back in his garage. AT coming in himself. And what pace is on show here from these guys, given what the lap times are looking like about 15 minutes ago. Those first runs now winding down. In TJ, well, he can't score points at the minute. Definitely wasting no time reminding everyone that he has still got it. Of course, former race winner in the league. It has been a while since he's raced here. I think we were looking about around F1 23 latest, I think his last race was. But 5 minutes to go. Only Curtis still on circuit. And looks set to be a barnstorming end to quali here. That's Pope on his out lap, going for it again with a fresh racetrack, no one else around him. Ericsson staying where he is for the moment. We'll keep an eye on that Sauber garage, see if anyone does make a move. As the Ferrari guys bring Curtis in. Of course, a number of constructors here in the top 10. Williams, McLaren, Haas, Alpine, Sauber, Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes. 8 different manufacturers, or constructors rather, inside the top 10. Only missing Aston Martin and RB. With that in mind, both Saubers and both McLarens into Q3 as well. So Pope on circuit. Of course, we've seen this before on a street circuit from Pope, who has obviously had tougher runs in Q3, but then went on to win the race. Famously against Grumio, one of just 2 times that Grumio's actually been beaten properly on track this season. Of course, the Jeddah race marred by late race chaos. So that race ended with Che up on his lid, up on his roof. Upside down the racetrack. And Pope coming through now to start what could be his final run. He won't get many more chances than this, but making this one count. Only car on circuit, only car to keep an eye out for at the minute. As I say, that one, as Curtis looks to be heading back on the track too. End of the first sector, 26.6 for Pope. It's a decent start. We'll see what he's got for the remainder of the lap. But a few cars now. DJ and Curtis back on the track. Out comes, I believe that's Ericsson. Yes, it is. HP will join him. So half the cars on circuit now. Here comes Dan at the pit lane. Dan needs a good 7/10 or so to put himself on pole. 2.5 minutes. Pope 1 minute 3.5. This could be a good lap here. Just put him right amongst the big boys in the top 3, top 4. But among those low 28s, I should think. I can see him slotting in quite nicely into 4th place here. With that little gap between Dan and AT. Towards the line. 1:28.1, and Pope does go 4th fastest. Down on the circuit. Everyone on the track now except for AT, who's coming out now. Yellow flags, Pope backs off. Last minute and a half here. So Grumio then has been the driver to beat. At least he was in Q1. In Q2 he dropped off a little bit. As last laps get underway, Grumio is here and hunting another pole, looking for pole number 6 this season to tie Imrie. fast runs beginning. Dan over the line. Pope likely coming to the pit lane here. I can't imagine him going for one more run. So he has charged a fair bit of his battery up. So whether he is going for it again, I doubt he will. Only 18 Grumio to come through and start the last laps. He's into the last minute of qualifying now. Curtis looks to be slow on corner exit. He's got damage there. And broken a good chunk of the right part of his wing off. Pope retires. HB Cook goes on through. AT starts his last lap now. Final minute. There it is. Checkered flag is up. First car through to the line is Ericsson. Only car yet set a lap time. He's P10 at the moment. Can he change that? Try to add to a third chance scoring points this season. Ericsson's P8. His teammate HB Cook in behind him there. 3/10 up. And looking potentially at a spot in 6th in front of DJ, who himself has crossed the line. Oh! And doesn't he take it? HB Cook P6 then. DJ P7, Ericsson P8. Here comes Dan. Dan's deleted. So won't improve. Dan stays P3. Curtis coming through. Curtis a long way back, obviously. P9 for him. Landau next through. Landau improves, but not enough. And Grumio is looking at a high 26 here as TJ rounds the last corner. TJ to P9 and Grumio in a formality at this point. Pole number 6 goes to Grumio this season. 126.883. Sheer dominance. Only half a second in front of his former teammate and longtime rival Landlord. But as AT comes through to the line then to complete that lap. Stays P5. Grumio on pole again. And by a mad margin. So Grumio from pole then for Landlord second, Dan third, Pope fourth, and AT rounds at your top 5. HB Cook in 6th, DJ in 7th place. Fantastic qualifying for a good number of these guys. Ericsson P8, TJ in his first run in the RD on F125 takes away P9, and Curtis comes home 10th. That is your top 10. And I'll be back with you in a few minutes' time for the start of what should be a fantastic Singapore Grand Prix. So only a minute or two away here from the start of round 17 of this season. The Races Driving League Season 19 Singapore Grand Prix about to get underway here in the lights of the Marina Bay Street Circuit. 19 corners, of course, recently modified from 2023 onwards to mind. Grumio the defending winner, and Grumio on pole by half a second to Landlord, and it could be domination as Grumio seeks win number 13 of the campaign. Looks to try and get a step closer to that 10th Drivers' Championship. But a number of solid contenders around him who could still give him a bit of trouble tonight. Waiting now for the formation lap to get underway. Just waiting here to get underway with that formation lap. 18 cars on the grid. Courtney Goblin joined us mid-quali. He'll start dead last for this one. But it's Grumio and Landlord lead them away. Have a look at your starting grid here. Mediums for the majority of the field. Hard tyres for Courtney and for Pope. The two Mercs going for hard tyres then for the start. It's Ben in P17 for Alpine. Ben W in P17. PJ lines up P16, of course. Tough elimination there at the end of Q1 and looking to try and get some more points on the board. Trying to help Aston close on Sauber and keep themselves away from Ferrari. Ben Lim there, P15, recently resurgent in that RB. 20 points this season and looking to try and help them off the foot of the table against Ferrari. JB P14 will hope for some points to try and help Williams in the battle against Haas for the Constructors' Championship. EJ P13, same thing as Curtis, looking for those points to keep themselves in front of RB and keep them close to Aston Martin. Ethan P12 there, looking for another strong run, currently top 10 in the Drivers' Championship. 10th P11, eliminated by 1,000th of a second at the end of Q2 and looking to try and redeem herself in this race today. Curtis in P10, ever present in Q3 in recent races. TJ P9, reserving for Imri, makes his return to the league as a reserve driver. Fantastic to see him here. Ericsson resurgent the last 2 weeks here. Points in Monza and points in Baku as well. 9 points to his name. Sauber closing in on Alpine in the Constructors. DJ want to try and stop them. He lands at P7 between the pair of them. HB Cook in P6, third row start for him. Ready to come into his own in recent weeks. P8 in the Drivers' Championship. Best of the rest as it stands. ATP 5 could emerge from today's race with 6th place in the standings if he can try and score more than 3 points in this thing. Pope lines up P4, still chasing, trying to close on Che. The victory will put him into 4th place in the standings. Dan lines up 3rd, currently 127 points back from Grumio, wanting to try and keep this thing rolling as long as he can. Let's keep Haas alive in the Constructors' Championship lead. Landlord lines up P2 and still gunning for that first win of the season. 3rd place now in the standings and looking to try and close on down to take 2nd for himself. And there is your potentially soon-to-be champion Grumio, who can't win it today, but can set things up for match point in a number of weeks' time, should things go well for him tonight. Courtney Goblin in his first lap of the evening, of being the formation lap, lines up at the back of the grid here and about to get underway under the lights of what has been a remarkable night in Singapore so far. Hopefully it'll continue for us as the last few cars line up. The lights are on here in Singapore to get the Grand Prix underway. Round 17 of the season. Grumio and Landlord on the front row, lights up foot to the floor, and we are racing. Great start there from Grumio. Covers off Landlord for the run towards the first corner. Contact already, and Landlord off into the barrier. What on earth happened there? VSC deployed, and there will be words. And Dan is backing off as well. What on earth happened on that race start for Dan and for Landlord? And Grumio's two closest challengers may have wiped themselves out before the first sector was even completed. What on earth happened there? Full safety car now deployed. Insanity on the start here in Marina Bay. And it almost looked as if Dan just sort of veered off into Landlord. I mean, I doubt that's what actually happened, but I mean, I'm having a look at the replay on my YouTube feed here on my right, just to actually get another glimpse of what actually went on there. Whether Dan got squirreled up behind someone, not entirely sure at all what just transpired there. And I think Dan just did cut across Landlord. Well, that'll be one for the stewards, I have no doubt. And Dan has sort of backed off to try and alleviate himself of any places lost. Or I'm surprised the game didn't give him a penalty for that. But what a start. Well, that puts Grumio still in the lead. That'll move 18 to 2nd, Pope 3rd, HP Cook 4th, DJ now in the top 5. Oh, that'll move 10th and Ethan into the points paying places. Wow. And definitely one of those ones for the blooper reel. And Grumio pitting here. So a change in strategy for Grumio, who's now used that one set of tyres he needs to for a dry race. It looks like he's the only car coming in. But I imagine Lando will pit too to replace that wing. And Dan pitting as well. So 3 cars coming in. Arguably your 3 fastest cars in the order. All stopping. Grumio for hard tyres. Can he take those to the end? I doubt it. Although it would be a very Grumio thing to do. Dan, I'm told, has floor damage. And that'd be a lot tougher to repair and keep an eye on. So perhaps Dan comes off worse here. Down the order, but a fresh wing for Landlord. He's away. Hard tyres also on for him. Well, a rather insane first lap there. Or at least a brief first sector, shall we say. Moves AT into the lead. Pope in second. And HB Cook in third. And that all of a sudden opened things up quite nicely for a number of drivers. I think will give us a definitely enjoyable race at the front, a number of evenly matched competitors. AT, well, of course, has one victory to his name. One of those ones a long time ago, way before my time in the RDL. Pope, of course, former champion. Don't believe he's won here before. And HB Cook, of course, yet to stand on an RDL podium. Of course, these guys all need to pit. But if they can get themselves some sort of another safety car to their benefit, they might have to wait and see there. But things getting very exciting here. Grumio rejoins in P16, Landlord P17, and Dan dead last. Your top 3 then in the starting order, unbelievably bottom 3 after the first lap. Everyone getting except those guys who have all lost 15 places. Curtis gained 5 spots from that. He gained 2 on that first lap, so insanity. But we're not going racing just yet because Landlord and Dan still need to catch up. So we'll go one more lap here behind what is obviously a full safety car, ignoring the VSC on the screen there. I think lucky for Landlord, he can still keep going, given how violent the shunt was going towards that first corner. Courtney Goblin in the pit lane here. And one of those 2 hard tyre starters now looking at a change this early on in the race. What is he going for? Set of medium tyres going for Courtney. But he now has also used both sets. He's done what he needs to do on that front. So now it's free reign the rest of the race. I'm not sure if there will be any sign of weather, because we've seen it in the past. We've seen weather disrupt this race in previous seasons. Whether it happened today, I'm not too sure. There's been no call of rain, no discussion of rain to come the race in the Discord, so things will stay as they are then. And once Courtney catches up, we can go racing again. But I'm sure that AT 10 minutes ago didn't see himself leading this race after 3 laps, but that's the situation he's in now. It's up to him to try and work an advantage over Pope, over HB Cook, and of course over the rest of the field behind. And we shall shortly get a message from race control. I should imagine saying the safety car coming in this lap. It could be a late call because Courtney isn't quite there yet. But I doubt they'll go another lap under the safety car. This could be a very late call, as I say. But if Courtney catches up just enough, those 3 backing off a little bit here. Grumio not quite with the back of the pack. But will Courtney catch? I'm thinking we might end up going again here. Yes, we are. So 4 cars then went with the train. One of them still trying to catch up, 3 of them backing off, I think. And onto that 4 then, we continue onto the safety car. Of course, Grumio, Landlord, and Dan would all end up front eventually once everyone else stops. So for now, I think it's sensible just to try and enjoy the potential race up front. From what I'm seeing in the Discord at the minute, it appears there are no hard feelings about the incident. I think all three drivers obviously very clearly still on the race. And all of them still on course for a good result, despite being back in the pack. They've made their stops. That'll make life easier for them. Just waiting now for that safety car message to come through. And it should be this time. As Connie finally closes that back of the pack. There it is, safety car in this lap. So can AT hold the lead? Pope on his tail, wanting it off him. Pope with the win can of course move ahead of Che in the Drivers' Championship by 2 points, with Che not being here. But AT, who of course hasn't won a long time in this league, now finds himself in front. As the green flag flies, go back to racing here as they round turns 18 and 19. AT going now. It's built a few tents, but Pope will be right behind him. Green flag back in the air. We are finally racing here on lap 5. Grumio already 1.2 in front of Landlord and Dan. All single file here. No early challenges. Again, trying to get to work here, trying to make a move on Ben W in the Alpine. Over the curve a bit there, might take advantage of that as he leaves turn number 5. Heading towards 6 and 7, really closing on the back of that Alpine, making a move to the inside, now going towards turn 7, and we could be in for a Grumio masterclass, as we saw in recent weeks at Zandvoort, when Grumio came back from P15 to finish on the podium in the end. But Ben holding his own. And holding on around the outside. Can Grumio get him? Grumio over the curb there. Well, Grumio got a warning potentially for corner cutting there. Not entirely sure how to keep an eye out for that. But Landlord now back on his tail and trying to challenge. And this is the fight right now. As AT pulls almost a second over Pope here. HB Cook still in 3rd place. On Pope's tail as they race up towards turn 14. It's all single file here. No challenges for the time being. It's just his bottom 5. Or bottom 4 rather, going for it. Courtney Goblin being left for dust right now, having made his pit stop. And Ben working at holding the former leaders at bay. Who makes his move, locks up a bit there. AT fires his lap and Ben going off the circuit as a result of that move. EJ penalty, multiple warnings. And Ethan backing off here. Ethan all over the shop there. He's been passed by several cars. There goes Ben Lim to the inside at turn 1. The mid-pack getting a bit more racy now. And both Astons down the order here. And out to the points. And Ben finally trounced by all 3 of those guys. As Grumio now trying to challenge Ethan and Ben. These guys really holding up the championship leader as it stands right now. But he's still gaining place. He's gained 1 place. There goes Ethan trying to challenge Ben. Grumio may try and take both of them here. He's going to get 1. Can he get 2? Making the pass on Ben. Landlord trying to challenge Ben to the inside now as well. There he goes. Grumio stuck behind. Dan now trying the outside. And both Bens have now been dispatched by the 3 Musketeers who are currently fighting their way through the order. As Grumio looks to the inside of Ethan into turn 10. Move gets made and Ethan there to really hold up Landlord and Dan. A chess match being played between these 3 incredible drivers. As up front, AT continues to stretch his lead to 1.6 seconds. HB Cook is right on Pope's tail there as they round turn 14 and DRS in play for a second time. So 2 bites the cherry here. HB Cook makes his move to the inside of the racetrack towards turn 16. Side by side in the chicane. Pope gives him the space, but it's a very tight corner as is with 1 car, let alone 2. And DJ on the tail of both these 2 as HB Cook takes second place away from Pope. Very close quarters. And no quarters given between all of them. And DJ now passing Pope 2. Pope was P2, he's now P4. Unless he can hold on corner exit. But all of this, marvellous for AT. He continues to stretch that advantage. 2.5, 2.6 seconds now to the car in second place, HB Cook. Pope holding on to third. But DJ will get DRS in a hell of a run out of turn 5 and towards 6. Has to run the inside. On the outside looking into turn 7. Pope clears him. And Dan stuck behind Ethan here. And is losing grounds both Landlord and Grumio. Of course, Dan, only one of those 3 cars who pitted, 3 leaders who pitted on medium tyres. Both Grumio and Landlord went for hards. So I think those guys are going to try and make the end, I should think. If I know those two, they'll try and go for it. But Grumio working and trying to close on the other Aston Martin of PJ now. And his teammate not too far in front ahead as well. JB in P10. From there, it's sort of single fight up to TJ in P5. It's a bit of a train. And this fight for what's the second spot. Pope is the second out now from HB Cook. Then we'll try and work on chasing down AT for the lead. AT leading laps here as Grumio makes that pass. And will JB just let his teammate go now? Actually, communication being made down at Williams to ensure that not too much time is lost for either car. But Grumio right on the tail of his teammate. And JB penalty there. The second penalty of the evening. 3 seconds for him and for EJ. And Landlord going for a move now on PJ towards turn 1. Makes the pass. Up into P12. And Grumio on the tail of his teammate there as they leave turn 3 and through 4. But DRS in play here for one of the cars, not 2. I think it's Grumio dancing past his teammate who will work, hopefully maybe try and work in the favour of Williams here to try and keep Landlord at bay for as long as he can. Landlord and Dan, I think still Grumio's closest challenges to the win today. Oh, and Curtis offline there. Both Ferraris in the points right now. 4 points currently going the way. I'd rather make that 2 with EJ's penalty. But it's still 2 points more than RB. I bring that gap up to 4 as it stands in the championship. But that could become just a 3-point gain. Or rather a 1 point gain, sorry. That could bring a gap to just 3 points. Should Grumio make this pass? I think he will. There he goes, looking to the inside, can go for it, but Landlord trying on JB as well. Side by side, both cars here with DRS. Landlord a bit more clinical with his DRS deployment than JB was. Dan stuck behind PJ here and losing ground fast with those 2 he's been chasing since the restart. Grumio going for it there through turn 18. Very gutsy indeed on the Ferrari. Moved Grumio to P9. EJ that penalty currently holds P8 right now, but will most likely lose that spot come the end of the race if everyone's packed together. Ben W into the pit lane for the first unorthodox, first unscheduled pit stop of the race for anyone. Front wing being changed, so Ben's got damage then. Hard tyres going on, and a wing change for him as well. Tough race for Ben thus far, and he's away. Dan around PJ now. Landlord and Curtis side by side. Fighting position. Landlord wins out on this occasion. And we'll pull away from the Ferrari now. We'll work towards getting the other one. Grumio passing 10th Cannon on the outside. They're going into turn 11. It's then Ericsson in P6. So Grumio still fighting on here, wanting that clean air. TJ there in 5th place, doing remarkably in his first RDL race back, even as a reserve. Front runners have settled down here. AT leads by only 2 seconds now, so HB Cook closing a little bit. Pope on his tail. And may still get DRS. It's close, but I think Pope may have just missed out. Nope, he's got it. So Pope and DRS range will keep close to the 2 leaders. DJ in 4th, 5 seconds clear of TJ as Grumio looks to try and close on both cars. As you see Curtis pitting. And a second early stop in this race. Well, I was saying that we actually are getting quite close to tyre window here. Hard tyres going on. Will the one-stop work at this circuit? That's the question. What a race it's been so far. Thoroughly exciting. See DJ locking up here. He'll be under pressure from Grumio in a couple laps' time. Grumio's now got clean air in front of him for the first time since we got back on the way again. Landlord, 2 places back. It's another 4 back to Dan, who's really found himself stuck in traffic. EJ holding on to the last points play in place, but likely it will go to Dan thanks to the 2 penalty cars in front. Landlord passing Ericsson. Ericsson's still on the points, still doing a good job. He's got 10th Cannon and EJ behind him. 10th gunning for those few points you can score for Red Bull. Obviously, Pope up there in 3rd place, taking 15 points to stands, which will mean that Mercedes move into 4th place in the Constructors. And DJ pitting, so we're getting a few more cars coming in now. Both Alpines looking for their first stop of the race. Ben's stop was stress-free, but obviously he's quite way down the order now thanks to that wing change. But DJ also going for a wing change too. So tough breaks then for Alpine to require that damage to be repaired for both drivers early on. Should rejoin around Ethan and Curtis. Landlord making the pass on TJ now. Dan still stuck in P11 here. Really not with it compared to the cars around him. And Landlord and Grumio now have clean air. Complete clean air. And will start closing in on HB Cook. And remember, of course, this is before the majority of these cars have made their first stops. That safety car worked out quite nicely for it to be a full one for Grumio and for obviously those guys behind Landlord and Dan. So AT still leads then. He's at the most laps so far, thanks to the ensuing incident on the first lap. You can see Grumio appearing there in the background. 10th Cannon into the pit lane here. First stop for Red Bull. TJ still on circuit. TJ in P6 right now. Currently holding off Ericsson in the 7th spot. Change made and 10th is away. Ben penalty. As 10th rejoins in 17th place. Ben then passing PJ here. EJ under pressure from JB and Dan. 2 veterans knocking at the door of that Ferrari. Bennett retires in the pit lane. Well, there we go. First retiree of the evening, surprisingly not from that collision on lap 1, but rather 11 laps later. Tough day for Alpine on one front. Of course, DJ ran up front earlier on for making that stop, so I should imagine he'll emerge close to the top 5. But that wing change may obviously play into that as well. Pope and HB Cook now back up to closing in on AT. And Pope now in 2nd place, having made that pass. So going to pass this down, passing JB now for 9th. So the Haas driver getting moving again. As Ben's AI goes out of the pit lane and retires the car. And this could be a lead change here. Pope can get close enough on this lap. He won't go for it this time. Perhaps a move into turn 14 or down towards turn 16 could play into play. But that's in another 8 corners time as DJ goes fastest. So pace is still very much there for DJ in that Alpine. It'll just be a case of how far back that wing repair has set him. But it'll be interesting to see how he comes back. And not even at the halfway stage yet. So a bit of a slide there from Pope through turn 11. We'll get 2 goes with DRS here. Nothing the first time. As for the second time, what does he get? Still closing and no avail here. And HP Cook now out of DRS range and may well fall prey to the reigning champion. As he comes blasting through turns 16 and 17. And HP Cook, jumping before he's pushed. And in for that first stop of the race. So Grimio's march continues. Landlord is there. I go 5 seconds or so behind. Yep, there is 5.2 the gap between the Williams car and the McLaren. Another 18 points though, and good gains on Dan. Dan's coming back in and making those medium tyres work. Not so much a... I mean, we knew he had to make a second stop, but hard's now going on. And the 2 stop then costing Dan here, who is away. But a slightly difficult mid-portion of that stint, to say the least, for Dan. Obviously, he got stuck behind a fair few cars while Landor and Grimio made up places. The gap between them now, you're looking at about 40 seconds or so. And Pope hassling AT there as these 2 veterans go for the lead. And as they say that, Grimio 2 seconds back from Pope and may well get involved. Pope can go longer. How long can AT go? Will he try and maintain the lead against Pope, who is closing? And I thought he was going to send it for a second, but thinks nothing of it. Now, does AT also pit? Yes, he does. Pope stays out then. And Pope moves into the race lead then. But now Grimio can get to work and start chasing down. It's less than 2 seconds between the two of them now. A second and a half for the lead. AT pitting. McLaren in a good spot here. He's away. And will fall, I think, to lowest P7. Make that P6 as TJ comes in. Ericsson stays on circuit, but I imagine he'll pit in a lap or 2. JB also stays out. So P6 for AT. Could still be P7. Depending on how quick HP Cook comes in. There he is, but HP Cook just about missing it. So stays behind AT for now. But it's close, so keep an eye on these 2. This could be a very interesting scrap to watch in the second half of the race. 10th Canada, place that side of the points here. Back to where she started in P11. DJ the last point right now. Number of cars still to pit who may well fall towards the mid portion of the pack. As Grimio finally gets himself into DRS range. I think he's the only driver to have been in every single position in this Grand Prix. He's come from the back of the order. Whether he was in P17 or P18 at some stage, I'm not too sure on the specifics there, but he has been down the field and back up again. And I doubt he can take this hard to the end. I think it's probably a bit too ambitious even for Grimio. Keep an eye on Cotley Goblin there on the points paying place. Of course, yet to stop. Actually, no, has made this stop rather. But will likely have to stop again very shortly to get to the flag. But could go for another set of mediums if he wants to. DJ and Curtis right on his tail, and that's helping 10th Cannon close up to no end. And Pope, a bit of a slide there through turns 1 and 2. He's got the 9-time champion hounding him as they round at turn 3 and through 4. DRS being played this time. And once again, these 2 great drivers about to go wheel to wheel on track. Both cars using battery. HP Cook fastest lap. Back in the top 5 as Grimio tries the outside. And outbreaks Pope. It's close to contact in the pair. They're still side by side. Grimio gets the inside through turn number 8. And Pope still there on the outside, so getting him trouble. But Grumio now clear and pulling away. Pulling away slightly. Pope still with him, so keep an eye on this scrap. Number of cars in the pit lane here. Ericsson and JB both making their stops. That'll move Cottony and Ethan into the points. 10th in P8 now. DJ back into P6. HP Cook back into P5. And Dan outside of the points now in P12. And a Grumio victory will bring that gap to 152 points in the standings, meaning that if Grumio can win this race and beat Dan next week, or if Dan cannot make the race, it will confirm Grumio's place as a 10-time champion. Without sprints and the added bonus points for fastest lap this season, you're just looking at points for on-track positions. 6 races is 150 points. 6 race wins, 100. Oh, sorry, 6 race wins, 100. I'm getting myself all mixed up here. 150 points for 6 races. So there we go then. So Grumio's lead 152 as it stands right now. So Dan needs to get himself a few points here to try and keep that from happening. We could be looking at the first opportunity for Grumio to clinch the title next week. But Dan, I imagine, will gain about a place or 2 more here. He's right behind TJ, of course. TJ can't score points as he's a reserve. So Dan technically is taking 1 point from this race. So a 24-point gain will still be 151 points, though. And no other reserves in the top 10. So Dan then, looking at 1 point. It's been a tough race for him. I think it also got compounded before that first corner, making that mistake on Landlord. Landlord himself is in P3. It hasn't done too badly at all here. Of course, Dan wrestling floor damage has to be remembered, so it's not an ideal situation for the Haas team. And obviously there'll be a big gain for Williams as well, who will take the lead of the constructors by 1 point as it stands right now. So all of a sudden, things very much turning on their head for Haas. But there's still 14 laps to go. And while Grumio still leads, I should think he may have to stop again, compared to the cars behind who may not have to stop potentially, because they may be able to go from here. It's going to be a very questionable one. There goes Landor coming in. So Landor would like to go, I think will like to go for a set of mediums here. Yes, there they are. Mediums in that McLaren. I should think Grumio will go for mediums too for his final stop. Pope's in the same sort of boat because he hasn't actually pitted yet. So he's trying to make the one stop work, which I think he very much can do. And trying to stay with Grumio, trying to go for the win on that front. But Landor will rejoin here, potentially most in P5, could actually be P8 here. DJ make that in front. Yes, he will. Curtis might. Yes, he will. 10th Cannon won't. Just missed it there. Just missed her window. But 10th still in P8 and still scoring 4 points for Red Bull right now. So still doing a fantastic job. Both penalty drivers outside of the points here at the minute. Grumio, I wonder if he has to be careful. Because I feel like he's got at least one warning from that collision earlier on the restart. He's now leading, but now, surprisingly, more or less leading for the first time today is Grumio. Landor down those fresh medium tyres. Want to try and get around DJ. He's managed to get around Curtis quite quickly. And DJ making a mistake there, going through 11. Into 13 now. He's right on the tail of that Alpine in just his 3rd full-time RDL race. There it goes. Landed into P5, but DJ still doing remarkably there in P6, on course for his first points as it stands. As Pope comes into the pit lane. And Grumio trying to go longer. Medium tyres for Pope too. Clean stop for Mercedes. Pope is away. And will emerge here in 4th place. As it stands, we're looking at about... Well, actually, whether he actually does emerge in front of Land, we'll have to wait and see here. It's going to be close. And Pope will come out just behind Landlord. But it's close. The top 3, save for that gap, very much close together. And I feel Grumio will be quite a fair bit in front. But let's keep an eye on the gap. 28 seconds at the minute. And Landlord is closing that gap a fair bit. on those fresh mediums compared to Grumio's worn hards. But Grumio just nursing things right now. And should still emerge with a lead of about 2 seconds or so, if not more. I think 2 seconds minimum. Grumio not pitting yet. Oh, right he goes! And Grumio skinned the car there. A very rare mistake from the champion. One that I'm glad we caught on camera. And that might help his case. And Grumio losing a fair bit of time here. Grumio off circuit. And avoiding a penalty there. And this has been a crazy night in Singapore. I think everyone in some way or another has lost their heads as Landlord sets the fastest lap now, 1:31.3. And all of a sudden, Grumio might be up against it a bit more than he might have hoped. 12 seconds to AT, so AT will emerge back in the lead again. But will likely soon have Landlord and Pope breathing down their necks. And I can't imagine they'll be able to go the rest of the way on those. Actually, they might be able to go the rest of the way on those tyres. They should be able to on the hards. So this could still be a very odd finish here in Singapore. There's definitely no guarantee that Grumio walks away this one as the winner. And we may get a new winner here. Pope is still on Landlord's tail. Still setting fast laps, these two. 10th cannon penalty. I mean, it's good. It's okay for her now. She's still currently only losing 1 place to Curtis. It's 6 seconds back to TJ, who's obviously a reserve. And Dan is on his tail. Dan now getting 2 points for his efforts. But Grumio, what happened there going out of turn 19? Things looking a lot closer here. AT and HB Cook will now be fighting for the lead again when Grumio pits. And that is now, I think if ever there was a sign to make the stop, it's at that point. So it'll, oh! And I don't know if Grumio is doing this deliberately. I can't wonder if he is. It feels very uncharacteristic for him to make this sort of mistake. But tyres being changed. He's going for medium, so as everyone else. So he's going to emerge behind Pope and Landlord. It's going to be a challenge to come back from here. But if anyone can do it, it'll be Grumio. As he comes out in P6 now. And a total, as we see here, 15.6 seconds off the lead. On the fresh mediums, spend them 10-second penalty, speeding in the pit lane. DJ there P5 right now, doing his best at the minute. But so as it stands right now, the situation as we are at the minute, AT and HB Cook running 1 and 2. Those guys could go to the end of the race on those tyres, but Landlord and Pope on fresh mediums will be bearing down on them, and Pope has just hit a penalty there. So 3 seconds of multiple warnings may well lock him out of the race for the win, unless Landlord gets one too. And as that's going on, Grumio will be coming back from the rest of the field. He's 7 seconds behind those guys right now. 7.3, 7.4, 7.5 from DJ to Pope. So Pope's safe for the minute in P4. And it will likely finish at lowest P5, but the chance for the win, perhaps even a podium off from now. But we'll take things as they are at the minute, until Grumio gets himself in the fight, which he may do now by passing DJ. But obviously he's now fighting guys who are also on fresh medium tyres and are quite close to his pace. So AT, with 10 laps to go, has got HB Cook right behind him, and it's these two for the win in the minute. That is the situation that we're taking right now. That's the situation we've got. And Landlord will be bearing down these guys and hoping that he can keep Grumio at bay for as long as he possibly can. But Grumio already 7.2, 7.1 behind, getting a lot of time. And I wonder if you will actually end up catching these guys. But it's 3.5 seconds from Landlord to HB Cook. And AT still holding that lead. Things have been very topsy-turvy here in Singapore tonight. 10th to stand still on course P70 even with the penalty. EJ fortunate that Ericsson and JB both have penalties behind him, because otherwise he would be getting that last point. Curtis down to P14 and made his stop. I think banking on those fresh hard tyres to do him some favours. Ethan penalty. If Grumio gets a penalty and chasing down the leaders, then that could be catastrophic for him. And I feel like he's got at least one warning for today. When he was fighting Ben W on the safety car restart, I feel like he's got at least one. And it wouldn't surprise me if throughout this charge he gets another penalty. Or gets a penalty, rather. DJ, they're still in P6, still on for a fantastic 8 points for Alpine, but crucially, they're losing that 10 points to Sauber with HP Cook in second place. And if Cook can win this thing, that'll move Sauber in front of Alpine in the Constructors for P6. What a charge it's been for that team. Ericsson outside of the points, 2 seconds back from EJ. Want that last point to go to him. Obviously, he'll take a point from this race as TJ is a reserve, so that'll bump everyone up a place below him. Grumio 130.6, fastest lap. And 5.7 behind. But 9.6 seconds back from the leaders. Lando is gaining on those guys right now, so those two are closing in a little bit. HP Cook has nothing for AT right now. But what a race this is. Down the order here, Dan still in P9, still chasing TJ, but from there, not a lot more for him to fight for. It's 10th up the order, but I'll just try and perhaps get within that 3 seconds, which I think Dan could do, but is on rather worn hards. EJ there also fighting for that last point. Well, he's got the last point right now. JB's got PJ right behind him. So JB will not have a chance to score on that last point, I should think. PJ, a bit of a mistake there through turn number 7 rather. But still keeping with the Williams. Curtis behind, obviously, on those tyres. Ethan and Ben on mediums. Courtney Goblin at the back. Tough day for him. Obviously yet to score this season. DRS in play again. Landlord now almost within a second of the 2 cars in front. As Pope tries it to the inside, contacting the pair of them. Landlord hangs on. Pope hangs on too. And I'm still thinking that Landlord could be the favourite for the win here. If Grumio gets a penalty, that makes life harder for him. But I think there's still time for him to try and take the lead and gain those 3 seconds he'd need. Dan passing TJ now, at long last, and now we'll try and gain a 1.5 seconds on 10th. There are your penalties. 3 seconds for 6 different cars, 10 seconds for Ben for speeding the pit lane earlier on. And here we go, Landlord and Pope have now joined the fight, but that'll help Grumio to close in all the more. Grumio and Landlord doing a 2-stop here. These 2 fantastic drivers really showing their mettle and showing their speed over the course of the evening. Landlord is now in DRS range. Grumio is now within 3 seconds of both of them. Pope with that penalty, likely on course for P5. I think short of any penalties in front. But now we'll see how AT and HP Cook respond. Granted, they are on worn hard tyres compared to Landlord and Pope and Grumio's still relatively fresh mediums. We'll see now what HP Cook and AT are made of. AT's won at this level before, HP Cook has not. HP Cook wants that first podium. It'll be a big ask to keep 3 champions of the series at bay in the final 7 laps. I'll say 3, potentially only 2, because Pope has that penalty. He'll want 1 car around him to get a penalty, I think, at this stage. But it's gearing up to be an absolutely fantastic finish. 5 cars, all within a couple seconds of each other. All within 4 seconds. Grumio is still 1.7 back, so no DRS for him for now. Yellow flag. And that is Curtis, who's, I think, got a puncture, I want to say. No, I can't be a puncture. He's got damage. I think that's suspension damage on him. He stopped. And could that be, I think that could be a VSC. Nope, no sign of the lights. Everyone's backed off. It looks like a VSC then. Very odd. VSC light not on. No sign of the safety car. But things are neutralized for a second here. But no VSC light. So very odd there. JB pits for soft tyres. So now we wait for the green flag then. Grumio can't gain anything under this VSC for the minute. Has to stay where he is. A bit less time for him to work. Curtis also onto a fresh set of soft tyres. DRS enabled. Green flag, that goes back out. So there is still 6 laps to go when they cross the line. And Landlord on the Pope, on the tail of HP Cook now. Maybe on course to rob him of that first podium. And Grumio want all 4 of those places and can still win this race from where he is. But AT leads what looks to be a final showdown for the win here. He was in contention to try and win this thing a season ago. Grumio again won that night. Things were a lot more complicated with the late safety car that time round. No such thing for now. That VSC might be all we get. And Grumio is now in DRS range. AT will be hoping that these guys all lose time fighting each other. If there's some kind of contact that could work into his favour. But right now he leads. HP Cook has not challenged him over the course of this run as leaders. Oh god, this is all very exciting. Half second between the 2 leaders. Landlord is still there challenging Cook for second. Pope behind him. I think Pope wants to try and get away somehow, just try and build some kind of advantage. As it stands, still sitting in 5th place. DJ 6th, 10th still 7th, but we'll lose that spot to Dan, I should think. So Dan currently 7th, 10th, 8th, TJ 9th, and EJ in your top 10. But PJ may well try and get close to nick places off all of them. As there goes Pope challenging Landlord to the outside now. Side by side as Pope finally goes for that move. Oh, contact! Around goes Pope! Pope saves it. Moved Grumio into 4th place. Contact there. And Pope could have done without that. Landlord squeezing him towards the inside there at turn 15. And then level 4 with 5 laps to go. Curtis, 3-second penalty. Landlord going for it. Defending harsh from Grumio against Grumio there. At turn 1, contact between the pair of them. And Landlord, I think, playing defense for his teammate. This is unbelievable stuff. Fantastic racing as Landlord really letting Grumio have it. Grumio's going to need to wrestle his way around his rival to get that place away. DRS for both cars, side by side. We've seen this to do this in the past. Landlord trying to get to him. Can't do it. And that might be all Landlord had in terms of keeping his teammate safe from the ever-present force of Grumio. HP Cook, though, is next in line. And an AT still standing there with a chance of victory. He'll need to keep Grumio behind him. As at this stretch of the season, one of AT's best circuits. Yellow flag is out. Car stopped. And it's Curtis again who's gone off. Recovers it. And slowing up to allow the leaders through. Blue flag's in play. Well, no one's going for a move just yet. Everyone's keeping it single file. Pope goes through as well. 4 laps remaining in Singapore. Landlord almost a second back from Grumio now. Nothing seems to faze him. Nothing seeming capable of stopping him. Ericsson passing Dan now. Dan down the order. And things are happening everywhere. Curtis out of the race here. Second retiree. As Ericsson now there in front of Dan. Grumio wanting P2 now off of HP Cook. And taking the place unless HP can get on the brakes. He can't. Grumio over the curb there. Landlord was going to... He tried to keep Grumio back. But may have to sit and watch now as his teammate loses the win potentially to Grumio. And again, McLaren look to be so close to victory. And again, it's being wrought out of their hands potentially by the same old face behind the wheel of that Atlassian Williams racing machine. And it could be DRS that kills the dream here for AT and McLaren. AT defends the inside. Grumio trying the outside now for the race lead. Towards the barrier. Contact between the pair of them. AT hanging on. Can HP Cook and Landlord come back at Grumio? Can Grumio try it? To the inside now for the race lead into turn 16 over the curb. AT again hanging on. Pope, another penalty. HP Cook trying to challenge as well. Grumio getting flustered there behind the back of that McLaren. 3 laps to go. Landlord diving on HP Cook, trying to help his teammate, but HP Cook saying none of that. I want this podium finish. Don't take it from my hands. And a gap forming between first and second and third and fourth. And HP Cook holding AT's teammate back as Grumio goes for what could be the race-winning pass here with 2.5 laps to go. AT trying to keep with him. He can't do it. Grumio over the curb, but gets back in front. Landlord to the inside of HP Cook, desperately trying to get himself back into the fight here, but it could be all for naught this late stage of the race. And Grumio, as he has done so many times in the past, giving us that extra bit of drama. 6/10 clear of AT. And once he pulls out of DRS range, short of a penalty, that could be game, set, and match for the field here. AT will get DRS this time. And now eyes turn to HP Cook, who will want that first career podium, but will need to keep Landlord at bay. And this race is still nowhere over. A penalty for Grumio opens things right back up again. And if AT can keep himself from DRS range, that'll do wonders for him. The race is not finished yet. Anything can still happen. But it's been an insane race here in Singapore. Grumio now 2 laps in victory after coming back from P6 in a situation that he may have actually inflicted upon himself. He's come back and recovered it. And with 2 laps to go, looking at victory number 13 of the season. And there it is, over a second here. DRS range out of the question for AT. And eyes now turn to HP Cook for that story of the night. For a potential podium for him, unless Landlord can take it. But Landlord's medium tyres equally starting to fade here, and Pope trying to close back in. Can't take away a spot other than P5 short for retirement in front. But Grumio has floored it. Behind Dan, it's still holding off Ericsson and PJ, but PJ now in range to take that last point away from Ericsson. Oh, around it goes to Sauber. Off into the barrier. Off the circuit there. And has to recover that car as Ben goes through. Tough break late on for Ericsson, who's still trying to chase potentially a last point on offer. Not going to work out for him. And damage done to that Sauber too. But still 15 points being scored. Be a 7-point gain in favour for Sauber right now. As Grumio comes through now to start the final lap here in Singapore. It's been a tumultuous race. It's been a chaotic one. And this race never disappoints. I'll say that as a fact almost every season. The last portion of the race, there was drama from the start where Dan made that collision with Landlord. Landlord will still come back and take a podium finish out of this. Unless HP Cook can still hang on. Both cars kind of low on battery, but Landlord practically shoving HP Cook here as they round turn number 5. And he'll want it. No DRS for Cook this time around, but holding off Landlord to the best of his ability. Landlord to the inside and may well break the hearts of the Sauber garage. HP Cook force wide, has the inside though, going into turn number 7. It's going to be tight. But I dare say Landlord has it. And HP Cook slides there. That could be done and dusted. A double podium for McLaren then on show here in Singapore tonight. And 5 laps ago, we were looking at a completely different story. HP Cook forced from the podium on the final lap here in Singapore as Pope bears down on the pair of them. But Grumio, though, has again risen above it all, the class of the field as he's been for so long in this league, and potentially puts himself into a position where he can challenge next week to try and win that elusive 10th Drivers' Championship in the Races Driving League. But it will be win number 13 tonight on the season. Grumio off the final corner wins a chaotic Singapore Grand Prix. Spins it out across the line. AT home in second. Another podium finish for him. Landlord in third. Denying HB Cook at the flag. Pope home in 5th place in the end. DJ will finish in the 6th position here. Short of any late drama. His first points in the league. A great drive for him as well. Can't let that be forgotten. 10th Cannon in just 2 seconds behind. And will take away P... will technically finish in P8, but will score P7's points. P7 in the classified order for 10th Cannon. TJ across the line 8th. EJ in 9th. And Dan, in the end, just scores 1 point. 24-point gain. As it stands. Dan actually comes home P9 in the end. EJ in P10. Ben Lim crossed the line. PJ, Ethan, JB, Ben, Ericsson in the end. That late spin cost him P15 in the end. And Courtney Goblin will come through as the last finishing car. Dan will score 4 points in this race. A 21-point gain. The gap, 148 points in the championship. If Grumio can outscore Dan next week by 3 points or more, then he will win the 10th RDL Championship of his career. Courtney Goblin crossing the line then. P16 at the flag. But Grumio then. Marvellous evening. This race never, ever disappoints. So it's him again then. Grumio victorious in Singapore. 18 in the end, comes home in 2nd place. A valiant drive. Landlord home in 3rd in the end. Coming back from that collision. And one could have thought his race would be over by the first corner. Not to be. He came back charging and finishes 3rd. But Grumio perhaps a week away from winning 10 championships. What a race. Easily the most chaotic of the season. So Grumio wins it then from AT in 2nd, Landlord 3rd, 4th place goes to HP Cook. Still fantastic points for Sauber either way. Pope in 5th, DJ in 6th, TJ 7th, 10th Cannon 8th, Dan 9th, and EJ rounds to your top 10. PJ Callaghan and Ethan coming 11th and 12th for Aston Martin. JB 13th in the end. 14th goes to Ben Lim. 15th to Courtney Goblin. 16th to Ericsson. 17th and 18th to Curtis and Ben, both of whom failed to finish in the end. Neither of them classified. Well, that was thoroughly enjoyable. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And we'll have a chat now, as soon as we can, with a few of the standout players from that race. Very, very, very chaotic, to say the least. And we'll see if we can get a chat then with a few drivers after that race. So we'll see who we can get in. And there'll be certain discussions to be had for certain drivers over the course of this evening. But the sort of thing, unfortunately, we can't sit in on. Which is a shame, because I'd absolutely love to hear about a conversation like that. And we do have an arrival here in the commentary box. 10th Cannon comes home with a points paying place at the end. 10th P7, you got points back in the end. So overall, a solid race, has to be said.
Yeah, I feel good about that one. I'm after the disaster that was Baku last week, I'm happy to be I'm really happy to be on the pace to score some good points again. What a weird race. lot of things happened there. I thought I was going to get passed by a bunch of the faster guys that ended up hitting on lap 1, and I did get passed by 2 of them. Something happened to Dan though. I think I already got floor damage, so it sucks for him. But that was fun. I enjoyed that one.
Definitely a fun race. Do you reckon this will be the start of a bit of a streak scoring points for you, do you think?
I hope so, unless we got any more street circuits, which I don't seem to be very good at the moment. I don't know. We kind of just have to take each race as it comes. See if I can find a good setup. See if I can qualify well. Missing Q3 by 1,000th was weird. I didn't think of all things that was gonna happen, but I felt like I had pace. And then the luck just kind of fell my way, and I was quick.
I mean, one thing to look at, I mean, I'm not sure how much eye you and Imri keep on the Constructors' Championship, but I believe that, by my calculations, Mercedes may have jumped you guys by a few points after tonight's race. Is there a chance you guys can get them back in the late stage of the season? I mean, there's still 6 rounds to go.
As long as
So
Imri
7
comes
rounds to go,
back, then
apologies.
yeah. As long as Imri comes back, then I think so. Otherwise, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can do that on my own. As happy as I am with my pace, I am not good enough to beat Mercedes on my own. Pope is way too good, and Courtney, he's gonna start scoring, I think.
Have to wait and see. But in terms of moving more immediately to our next race in Austin next week, or is it the track I believe you made your RDL debut at, and actually got into Q3,
Oh, yeah.
if memory serves me right. So could we get some deja vu on that front?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't get on with Kota that well, so I mean, it might have changed on this game. It could be better. If it's any better than it was on last season's game, or last year's game, sorry, I think I might do a bit better. But we'll see. Whatever happens, I think I can maybe nab a point or 2. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Should be a very enjoyable race indeed. And that will be coming your way on the 6th of October, this time next Monday. It should be an absolutely thrilling evening of racing like this one was. And that'll do it then for coverage tonight for us here at the Racers Driving League after a fantastic race in Singapore. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.